Hello everybody, Tara Peak here, Mandala Mama. What a couple of weeks we have had. Oh man. So I was fortunate enough to have gotten the message. There was a huge group, I would say 1 million, if not more people gathering last night for a group meditation. And when I mean gathering, I mean we're gathering by moving inward and specifically focusing on this earth, a meditation for what are going to be the new ways that we create the new systems, the new institutions, the new earth. How are we going to really put ourselves out there and create this new paradigm shift that we are coming into? Awakening, it has so many different layers to it. And in the meditation group, you know, like many people were doing their own guided meditations. I followed several, and then I also had my own, which I'm going to share at the end of this video so that you too, if you were not there at the gathering, there's a huge, intense amount of energy when people collectively gather for a meditation, because we all tap into our collective consciousness, which is what we're being invited to move inward and to connect to. But also because in a group meditation, we all have so much connection that our power on the planet lifts the energies, lifts the vibration, and really helps to create internal healing. And that's what I want to talk about, is us as individuals, how when we are coming through our awakening, how we can create a lot of our own internal healing, because we are designed to heal ourselves. And it doesn't necessarily just mean with the situation we're dealing with. I'm going to hold this sign up or just use V so that we can kind of even the playing field out online and not have to play into the algorithms. But when we are dealing with this or any other part of healing, whether it's psychologically, right? A lot of us are not necessarily coming in contact with this quite yet, since for me, I am in the United States, and over in the West, we really haven't been presented with this. I am in the Rocky Mountains, and there's just a few cases, and we kind of it hasn't really hit us yet. So this is something that I thought would be even more important to do now, just to get people a heads up to start practicing on how we can really empower ourselves. Because I believe and have felt within my own awakening and my own consciousness that I keep getting a lot of, this is a moment for us to really tap into our empowerment and really tap into how we go into creating this new world and whatever we are creating, whether it's, you know, the school system or our medical system, any system that we are going to move forward with. There's going to be so much change, and the change is all going to be determined by how, when we get done with this quarantine, we step out of ourselves, or I should say step into ourselves, to empower the world around us from gaining that new internal empowerment. And one part that we are definitely being faced with is in the area that I am working with, is energy and healing. So if you haven't heard of this before or it's new to you, I do recommend this book called The Field from Lynn McTaggart. The Field is a groundbreaking classic. It's actually written by a journalist who went out and she interviewed many scientists who are working with quantum physics, with energy, with the collective field that we all share in our consciousness, how our thoughts create reality, law of attraction, all of this stuff. She really wanted to know, how is this real and how does this work? So she went around the world interviewing scientists, and this is her collection of interviews and what they have found and what the scientists have found, and how fantastic it is, because not only is this something that you can scientifically find research for, and this book is a huge collection of all of that. So in one book, you're going to get a lot of information, but it's also something that you can feel. And when you learn how to tap into your own deep energy field and you learn how to seek that out yourself, you have the availability to tap into this and to feel it for yourself. The thing with me is that I believe everything as far as healing can be tangible. It can be something that you feel and you acquire within yourself when you open up to it. So when you're reading a book like this, if you find yourself having blocks or you find yourself being critical, that's already a block. Any kind of criticism is a block. When you're reading something like this, I would say before you read it, to sit down and repeat in your mind, I allow this information to be absorbed for the highest benefit of my existence. And then just keep saying yes, keep saying yes. Now, if you keep saying yes and then instantly you hear your mind go in the background and talk yourself out of it, it's just your ego trying to take control again because it's something new. And when you are reading things or listening to information that immediately makes you kind of want to put up a red flag, that's just you needing to soften the ego. And I'll talk about the ego in another video too. We'll get into a little bit more of what that. So many other spiritual masters out there have really worked with trying to get an understanding of what our ego is doing. And I believe that the ego is our friend. It's there for protection. So we're here to befriend it, just like our body and just like everything else on this planet. So I allow this information to be absorbed for the highest benefit of my existence. Yes. And then what you need from it, you will feel it resonate within you, and you will feel it start to settle. And this calms your ego down. This is safe to read. This is okay to take in new ideas. And as the ego calms down, you will find the little bit more spot inside of you where you sit back into your own soul and you know. You know, because deep down, there's this very warm feeling of like, this makes sense. This makes sense that there would be a field we're all connected to, that we have a collective consciousness where it really makes sense when we pull together as humanity what we have been able to create. There's a lot of beauty in this world that we've created. We've also been able to create in other areas because the ego also taps into the field. So it's more important that we really realize when we are using our ego versus when we are using our spirit, our soul, and our collective superconscious. And I'm going to call it the superconscious because the superconscious is like our consciousness, all connected. So I believe that there is plant medicine for absolutely everything, and I mean everything that our body deals with in ways of healing. And I believe that there's something out there for everything that gets our body. I do believe that's how we are designed, and that's why we are here with our greatest mother, the earth, Gaia, and we are really able to overcome anything. Now, it takes a couple things that have to shift in our minds and our programming for us to really embody that. And what I want to do is have a little bit more empowerment with that. And this may or may not, offer that to you. But for me, I think that even though we haven't found some aids or some cures or some medicines that really help with what we're dealing with right now, in the past, for other ones, we have found things that have worked, and it's just a matter of time before we find things that work here without the injection of a vaccine. And I'm not talking about being for or against vaccines at this point. That's not what this video is about, but I think that there's other ways that we can go about really allowing our bodies to take care of themselves first. And part of that is preventative, and I believe in preventative medicine all the way through. All objects, no matter what it is, whether it's a rock to a plant, all objects, including ourselves, the earth, everything, has a vibrational resonant frequency at which we all naturally oscillate. So this means that it doesn't matter what it is, there is a frequency we all naturally vibrate at. And bacteria, viruses, pathogens, all of this also has its own natural resonance or its vibrational oscillation. And most bacteria, I'm trying not to say it as much as I can. most of those, they vibrate at a very dense, a very low frequency. And this has been tested. This is something that we are able to tap into and research. And then as far as our bodies, the earth herself and all the plants also have a much higher frequency. So this got me thinking and what got me into researching a lot of other avenues about how we can really utilize our empowerment during this time. And one way is vibration. I'm all about energetics and I'm all about vibration and kind of using the way that we vibrate in the field. I'll just use the field. So if any of you have read this, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. But the collective consciousness, how we vibrate on Earth and how we vibrate within our own body, we can raise our vibration through so many practices, and I'll list some of those here in a moment. And I believe without a shadow of a doubt that we have the ability to lift and raise our vibration. I think the earth is doing it, and she's our greatest teacher. And as I feel her, I'm feeling my own vibration lift and raise, and I even feel it through tingling, more sensations in my body. And when I'm doing healing on others, it's a very distinct feeling that I know is coming through me. I'm not creating it, it's coming through me, and I'm simply allowing it to come through. So as I work with this, it offers something that I want to talk about and even possibly, move through, and everybody can learn this. This is for everyone. It's not just those who are healers or are now finding that they're light workers. This is for everyone. Healers and light workers simply just means that a lot of times we have more experience with it through this soul life or other soul lives, and so we've just had more practice, and we can bring it out through much quicker and much more intensely. So I wanted to go into kind of what this means whenever we have anything that affects certain parts of our body from an energetic, metaphysical place of healing. Everything that affects us is our body trying to communicate something deeper to us. So it's not just the allopathic, here is something that you have, here is something that's going to mask that symptom, right? So I'm not going from that area. Where I'm going is something much deeper. I'm looking into true healing. And true healing means you get to the very, very root cause, which is always more than the symptom. It's always more than just what the body has finally decided to communicate with you. So looking at what this does and how it communicates with the body and what the body tries to tell us is we do know it's affecting the liver, kidneys, heart, and lungs. On a metaphysical side, an energetic side of things, Louise Hay, who is deceased now, is an intuitive healer. And she, for the longest time, she wrote books like You Can Heal Yourself. And, all of this empowerment, again, that we are our healers and we are our own healers. But a lot of times we go outside of ourselves because we haven't been taught what it takes to truly heal. So on a metaphysical side of things, if you are looking at the liver, there is an area of your body in the liver that's when something affects the liver, no matter what it is, even if it's like, oh, if you drink too much, it's going to affect your liver, right? If you've gotten to the point where your liver is actually being affected by whatever, there is a seat of anger inside of you. This is an area where a lot of primitive emotions kind of come up and rise, where if you find yourself having the habit of chronic complaining or even just feeling bad about things, sometimes feeling bad about what has affected you or bad about even what's going on around us. So these are some characteristics that the liver itself is trying to communicate. And that gives us areas of where to look, right? What is creating anger in me? Or am I constantly a person who complains? Or do I have feelings of feeling bad? Then there's also your kidneys. So this affects your kidneys. Kidneys is the space of criticism, disappointment, failure, or shame. So these can be like old triggered patterns that you've kind of buried, things in your world. The heart, the center of love and security, long-standing emotional blocks. So when we have emotional blocks that have rested in our heart for who knows how long, I mean, I've all been about we have to heal our heart first and foremost. So getting rid of heart blocks so that we can even be open to these new perceptions and these new beliefs that are being offered to us. now through this awakening. If we're blocked, it's going to be hard to move inward and see a new way. And so removing those emotional blocks is also a huge part of this transcendence. And then the lungs, we know that it hits the lungs. So what do the lungs mean? What's happening in the lungs? So anything that is attacking our bodies and actually attacking us to a point where it's putting us on our deathbed, maybe even creating our death. For many of us, that's our time to go. I do believe that everything happens the way it is supposed to. So going into that, I have to also look into, there's a huge aspect of surrender and letting go through all of this. But part of the letting go too is moving inward and saying, what do I need to be shown here? And if it's hitting our lungs, it's creating more turbulence in our lungs. There is the inability to take in life. So sometimes it's just grieving. It's just even like life itself seems like such a burden, and it's just this hard place to be. And there's so much hardship and depression and not feeling worthy of even living a full life. So it's very interesting to look at ailments of our body speaking to us and going to these areas. Excuse the cars driving by. I'm outside. What do you say? In a neighborhood, in the suburbs of Utah. But so, you know, like when we're feeling this, right? We're feeling this grief, this it's so hard to take in life. This is exactly what, as a collective, we have kind of dealt with for so long. So here we have something that is attacking those areas of our body, and there's a much deeper meaning, a much deeper place of where we can go to move through these. So healing means you have to move through it. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to block it with all of these other things. Healing means you move through it. That's why when a lot of people are transcending into death or their transformation into from their human body, when they are moving through that, there's always this moment where it's like they've surrendered everything. They've kind of come into like just life is wonderful, and you know, like they think of all their good memories, and they're just in a new exalted state. So that's kind of what we're dealing with right now on this place where we're kind of moving into this transformation ourselves into these new energies that are put here on earth, through the earth and for us. There's new areas of consciousness we get to tap into, and I'll have more videos on that. But for right now, I want just to like start to focus on just kind of what the work needs to be right now. I'm going to give some hope though, right? There's so much hope. And one of it is moving into our own empowerment, but also plants offer so much. So in other studies that have been done on trying to figure out what it is that can help block what this is it affects what's called our ACE2 receptor. And this ACE2 receptor connects to our cells, and it creates or clones itself from using our DNA, rewriting its own RNA, and it clones itself through us. We are the ones who are doing it. And one of the big things is that what happens is not that this eventually takes over. What happens is our body, most of the symptoms that we feel is our body is so trying to fight it that what it does is it gets way too intense. And it's actually our own immune system that is creating all of the symptoms, and our own immune system that is wreaking the havoc on us. So essentially, we are creating the problems. So that just goes to show again that on a deeper level, this is showing that whatever is happening on the outside, whatever's affecting us, we're really being told to move inward and see our own empowerment, because this is just coming to us and we're doing it to ourselves. So our own immune system is the problem. It's not even this guy. This is my scratch paper. My kids' paper is my scratch paper. So this is the problem? No. What the problem is we are becoming that problem because we are needing to move into deeper places of healing to see the new consciousness to move into a new awakening, and that is lifting our consciousness to a whole new level. So I'm just going to throw this out there. We are living in a dense reality of 3D, and we are being invited and pushed and shoved to move into 4D, and eventually we'll even move into 5D. So we're going to continue to lift and rise our own frequencies. So this is unity consciousness trying to bring us together. So going back to herbs and going back to plant medicine, what we have found in the past that has worked for other ones is skullcap. And skullcap is one of my ultimate favorite herbs. So I was thinking about this and I was like, oh my gosh, if we were just adding some of these things to our diet every day, there's no, experiments that these work yet because this is so new, but they have worked very well on old ones like SARS. And so if we are finding that there's some antiviral stuff out there that is working for other things, there's a huge possibility that it's working, because what it's doing is it's actually blocking, it has bioactive components that are actually blocking the ACE2 receptors from connecting to our own cells. So because it's creating these blocks, it's either it's going to push most of it away so our body doesn't have to get so crazy and have such crazy symptoms. But if it's not doing that, it's going to block it completely. And those are the people who are having absolutely no symptoms at all. They're probably very healthy. They're vibrating at a very high frequency. And who knows if they're taking skullcap every single day. Skullcap is an herb that's a sedative. It's a relaxant for our nerves. It's a nervine. So even just to drink some of this every single night, I drink it all the time. And now I'm going to start adding it every night to my night cup of tea, because just the fact that it does have antiviral properties and has been shown to block the ACE2 receptor, that's just even more reason why we should be taking this every single day. Just because, for one, to calm our nerves, to make us more relaxed, to make us more calm through this time, but also because there is some other benefits. Another one is nicotianamine, and this comes from soybeans. So if also it has ACE2 inhibitory activity. So if we are just eating more soy, maybe just substituting your meat products so that you are not only helping the environment there, but adding some non-GMO, even fermented tempeh soy. There's plenty of ways to add soy into your diet where you're not contributing to, genetic modification or anything. So adding some more soy. There's also been the flavonoid compound in citrus, in lemon, and in orange. So in the orange peel, making a smoothie, peeling off a little bit of the orange peel, or adding a little bit of the oil, essential oil of orange or lemon to, say, a smoothie, or even just rubbing it on your body. That's been shown to have some of these blocks. So if we can block the majority of it, we're going to block the infection from arising, and our immune system's not going to get so crazy and create some of these problems. And then another great one is licorice. Licorice roots, very low toxicity. It binds to these bioactive components, and it has been very helpful in SARS. So it's very antiviral. And if the one thing about licorice root that you want to watch is that, you only want to be taking it if somebody close in your neighborhood or in your family possibly has this, because if you're taking licorice all the time, it does have a tendency to create high blood pressure. So, and by all means, I am, I'm not a doctor. I study herbs, and these are like what I would be doing for myself. You can go do your own research on these. You can figure it out. They're pretty much any information online. You can get them anywhere online, and a lot of them you can wild harvest from nature itself. I found, other than soybean, I have found obviously like lemons and oranges are at the grocery store, but licorice root is everywhere, and skullcap is in a lot of areas as well. But you'll have to look that up yourself, because that's not this video. Part 2 of this video, I am going to go into a little bit more of the energetics of things. I'm also going to go into a meditation that can help you move into yourself to create more empowerment and to tap into the areas of you that will help you to lift your own vibration so that you too can strengthen your body, can communicate to your body, and help your body to prevent this from either occurring in the first place or having the symptoms get too crazy. Are you catching a big one?